The wine glass in my hand felt heavier than it should have, probably because I'd been gripping it like a lifeline for the past hour. Friday night parties at our place had become a monthly tradition, one of those suburban rituals that somehow evolved from, let's have a few friends over, to, let's pretend we're still young and interesting. I'm Alex Harper, 41 years old, and I manage IT projects for a living, which means I spend my days explaining to people why their brilliant ideas won't work, and my evenings pretending to enjoy small talk about property values and school districts. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Alex, stop lurking by the kitchen island and come join us, Jenna called out from the living room, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when she wanted to showcase what a fun, spontaneous wife she was. My wife of 15 years had always been the social butterfly in our marriage, the one who remembered birthdays and organized gatherings and somehow made our boring suburban existence seem almost glamorous. The living room was packed with our usual crowd. Jason Pierce, my supposed best friend since college, was holding court near the fireplace, gesturing wildly as he told some story about a real estate deal gone wrong. At 43, Jason still had that effortless charm that had made him popular in college and successful in sales. The kind of guy who could convince you to buy a house you couldn't afford and make you thank him for it. "Truth or dare?" Sophie Martinez shouted suddenly, nearly spilling her mojito. Sophie was Jenna's work friend, the type who treated every social gathering like a bachelorette party. "Come on, we haven't played this since we were kids." "We're not kids anymore," I muttered, but apparently not loud enough for anyone to hear. "I'm in," Jenna said immediately, her eyes lighting up with that mischievous sparkle I used to find charming. "But let's make it interesting. Real truths, real dares, none of that wimpy stuff." Emma Greer, Jenna's younger sister, shifted uncomfortably on the couch. She'd been visiting from Portland for the past week, and I'd noticed she seemed different from her usual quiet self, more attentive, more present. When she looked at me, there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite identify. "Alex, you're playing too," Jenna announced, not asking. "Don't be such a party pooper." Mark Davidson, Jason's workout buddy and the self-appointed alpha of our friend group, rubbed his hands together. "This is going to be good. I've got some questions that'll make things very interesting." We arranged ourselves in a circle like teenagers, which felt ridiculous, but somehow inevitable. The wine had lowered everyone's inhibitions, and there was an electric tension in the air, the kind that comes right before someone does something they'll regret. "I'll start," Sophie said, pointing at Claire, Mark's wife. "Truth or dare?" "Truth," Claire said, giggling nervously. "What's the most expensive thing you've ever bought without telling Mark?" Claire's face went red. "A $2,000 handbag. I told him it was on sale for $300. Mark's jaw dropped. "Claire!" "Which handbag?" "The Prada one you complimented last month," she said sheepishly. The group erupted in laughter, and I could see this was going to spiral quickly. These weren't college kids playing innocent games anymore. These were adults with mortgages and marriages and secrets. The bottle spun, landing on Jason. "Truth or dare?" Claire asked, clearly enjoying her moment of revenge. "Dare," Jason said without hesitation. He never backed down from a challenge, which was probably why he was successful at sales and terrible at maintaining long-term relationships. "I dare you to text your ex-girlfriend Rachel and tell her you miss her." "Done," Jason said, pulling out his phone immediately. He typed quickly and hit send, then showed us the screen. "There. Sent." Emma caught my eye and rolled hers slightly. She'd never liked Jason, had once told me she thought he was all surface and no substance. At the time, I'd defended him, but lately, I'd been wondering if she was right. The game continued, getting progressively more invasive. Tom admitted to hiding a gambling problem from his wife. Sophie confessed to having a crush on her married boss. The alcohol flowed, and inhibitions disappeared. Then the bottle landed on Jenna. "Truth or dare?" Mark asked, and I could see the predatory gleam in his eyes. "Dare," Jenna said boldly. "I'm not scared of anything you can dish out." Mark looked around the room, his gaze lingering on Jason before settling back on Jenna. "I dare you to spend 10 minutes alone in the bedroom with Jason." The room went silent. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. "That's not appropriate," I said quietly, but my voice was drowned out by the nervous laughter and excited murmurs from the group. "It's just a game, Alex," Jenna said, but she was already standing up, smoothing down her dress. 10 minutes? What could happen?" "Jenna," I said more firmly, but she was already walking toward Jason, who had jumped to his feet with an enthusiasm that made my blood boil. "Don't be such a killjoy," Sophie said. "It's all in good fun." I watched my wife disappear down the hallway with my best friend, and the room erupted in whispered conversations and knowing looks. Emma moved closer to me on the couch. "This is wrong," she whispered. "It's just a stupid game," I said. But even I didn't believe it. The 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. I sat there, nursing my wine, trying to participate in the forced conversation, while my mind raced with images I didn't want to see. Emma stayed close, occasionally touching my arm in what I assumed was meant to be comfort. When Jenna and Jason finally returned, the room fell silent again. Jenna's hair was mussed, her lipstick smeared. Jason's shirt was wrinkled, and there was a clear lipstick mark on his neck that matched Jenna's shade perfectly. "Well, that was fun," Jenna said breathlessly, settling back into her spot in the circle, as if nothing had happened. The group burst into nervous laughter and excited chatter, but I felt like I was watching everything through a fog. My wife had just spent 10 minutes in our bedroom with another man, and everyone was acting like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Your turn to spin, Jenna," Sophie said eagerly. The bottle spun and landed on Emma. "Truth or dare?" Jenna asked, her voice carrying a slight edge. "Dare," Emma said quietly, surprising everyone, including me. Jenna's smile was sharp. "I dare you to kiss the person in this room you find most attractive." Emma didn't hesitate. She turned to me, placed her hand on my cheek, and kissed me. Not a peck, not a sisterly kiss, but a real kiss, soft and warm and full of something I hadn't felt in years. When she pulled away, her cheeks were flushed. "I've wanted to do that for a very long time," she said quietly. The room exploded. Jenna jumped to her feet, her face twisted with rage. "How dare you?" "How dare I what?" Emma stood up too, suddenly finding her voice. "Play the same game you just played? Follow the same rules? That's completely different." "How?" I found myself asking, standing up as well. "How is it different, Jenna?" Because it just is," Jenna sputtered. "She kissed my husband." "And you just spent 10 minutes in our bedroom with my best friend," I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. "It's just a game, right? That's what you said." Jason stepped forward. "Look, man, nothing happened. We just talked." "With your lips on her neck?" I gestured to the lipstick mark he hadn't bothered to wipe off. "Alex, you're being ridiculous," Jenna said. "You're embarrassing yourself." Emma moved to stand beside me. "He's not the one who should be embarrassed." The party broke up quickly after that, with awkward goodbyes and promises to talk soon that everyone knew were lies. Within 20 minutes, our house was empty, except for Jenna, Emma, and me. "I can't believe you did that," Jenna said to Emma. "In my house, with my husband." "Your house?" Emma laughed bitterly. "Alex pays the mortgage, and your husband? When's the last time you acted like he was your husband instead of just another piece of furniture? You don't know what you're talking about." "I know you've been having an affair with Jason for months," Emma said quietly. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. "That's ridiculous," Jenna said, but her voice lacked conviction. "I've seen the texts, Jenna. I've watched you two together. Tonight wasn't the first time, was it? I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and saw the truth in her eyes. The guilt, the defiance, the calculation as she tried to figure out how to spin this. Emma, let's go, I said quietly. Alex, you can't be serious, Jenna said. She's lying. She's jealous, and she's lying. The only liar in this room is you, Emma said. And I'm done watching you destroy a good man. I walked to the closet and grabbed my jacket. I'll be back tomorrow for my things. Alex, wait, Jenna called, but I was already walking out the door with Emma beside me. Emma's apartment was a study in contrasts to the house I'd shared with Jenna. Where our place was all staged perfection and matching furniture sets, Emma's space felt lived in and real. Books everywhere, plants that were actually thriving, photographs of genuine moments instead of posed family portraits. I can sleep on the couch, I said, standing awkwardly in her living room at 1 a.m. Don't be ridiculous. I have a guest room. Emma disappeared down the hallway and returned with sheets and a pillow. Alex, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said what I said about the affair. Not like that. But it's true, isn't it? She nodded slowly. I've suspected for months. The way they look at each other, the way she lights up when he texts, and tonight, when she jumped at that dare so quickly. Emma trailed off. I have proof, if you want to see it. Proof? Emma pulled out her phone and scrolled through her photos. I took these last month when I was visiting. I was going to delete them, but... She handed me the phone. The photos were taken through a restaurant window. Jenna and Jason sitting across from each other at an intimate table holding hands, leaning in close. In one photo, they were kissing. I followed them, Emma admitted. I know that sounds terrible, but I was worried about you. You've seemed so unhappy lately, and I suspected why. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Alex, come home. We need to talk. This is ridiculous. I showed Emma the message. She snorted. Ridiculous, that's rich. How long have you known? Known for sure, since I took those photos. But I've suspected since Christmas. Remember when Jason showed up at your family dinner uninvited? I did remember. Jenna had insisted we invite him, said he was lonely during the holidays. He'd spent the entire evening flirting with her while I carved the turkey and played host. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Jason. Dude, your wife is freaking out. You need to come home and handle this. Handle this, I read aloud. Like I'm supposed to manage Jenna's emotions after she cheated on me. You don't have to handle anything, Emma said firmly. You don't owe either of them anything. I looked at her sitting across from me on the couch, her dark hair falling over her shoulders, her eyes full of concern, and something else I was afraid to name. Emma, what you said tonight, about wanting to kiss me, I meant it. She didn't look away. I've had feelings for you for years, Alex. I tried to ignore them because you were married to my sister, because it was wrong, but watching her treat you like you don't matter, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. This is complicated. It doesn't have to be. Jenna made her choice. She chose Jason. You get to choose too. My phone rang. Jenna's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. I need to think, I said. Of course, take all the time you need. But even as I said it, I knew my thinking was already done. 15 years of marriage, and my wife had thrown it away for a few cheap thrills with my best friend. The humiliation burned, but underneath it was something else. Relief. Like a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying had suddenly been lifted. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 34 text messages. Jenna, Jason, Sophie, Mark, Claire, even Tom had weighed in with their opinions on what had happened at the party. Sophie's message was typical. OMG, Alex, Jenna is devastated. You have to forgive her. It was just a game. Mark's was more direct. Stop being a drama queen and go home to your wife. But it was Jason's message that really got to me. Look, I'm sorry things got out of hand. Jenna and I have history, but it doesn't mean anything. Don't throw away your marriage over a stupid game. History. Like my 15-year marriage was just an inconvenient obstacle to their history. Emma emerged from her bedroom in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, looking more beautiful than Jenna ever had in her carefully coordinated outfits. "How are you holding up?" she asked, starting the coffee maker. "I've been better. Apparently, I'm a drama queen who's throwing away my marriage over a stupid game." "According to who?" I showed her some of the messages. Her face darkened as she read. "They're all taking her side," she said. "Of course they are. Jenna's the fun one, the life of the party. I'm just the boring husband who pays for everything." "You're not boring, Alex. You're steady. You're kind. You're loyal. Those used to be virtues." "Used to be." Emma poured 2 cups of coffee and sat beside me at her small kitchen table. "I have something else to show you. I wasn't sure if I should, but after seeing these messages..." She pulled out her laptop and opened her email. "Jenna sent this to me last night after we left." The email was a masterpiece of manipulation and gaslighting. "Emma, I can't believe you would betray me like this. Alex is vulnerable right now, and you're taking advantage of that. What happened with Jason was nothing, just a silly game that got out of hand. But what you did was calculated and cruel. You've always been jealous of what Alex and I have, and now you're trying to destroy it. If you have any decency left, you'll tell Alex the truth about your obsession with him and let us work through our problems in peace." "Obsession," I said flatly. "She's trying to rewrite history, make herself the victim and me the villain. And me the poor, confused husband who doesn't know his own mind." Emma reached across the table and took my hand. "You know your own mind, Alex. The question is, what do you want to do about it?" I looked down at our joined hands, then back up at her face. "I want to file for divorce." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. But first, I want to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person they're defending." Emma smiled, and for the first time since the party, it reached her eyes. I liked the sound of that. The divorce attorney's office smelled like leather and old books, the kind of place where important decisions were made by serious people in expensive suits. Margaret Chen had been recommended by Emma's friend Sarah, who'd gone through her own messy divorce 2 years earlier. "You have grounds for adultery," Margaret said, reviewing the photos Emma had taken. "These, combined with witness testimony from last night's party, should be sufficient." "What about the house?" I asked. "Is your name on the deed?" "Both our names, but I've made every mortgage payment for the past 15 years. I have bank records to prove it." Margaret nodded approvingly. "Good. Financial records will be crucial. What about other assets?" "Joint checking and savings accounts. I handle all the finances, so I have access to everything. I'd recommend moving half of the liquid assets to a separate account immediately. It's perfectly legal and protects you from any attempts she might make to drain the accounts." I felt a flutter of something that might have been excitement. For 15 years, I'd been the responsible one, the one who handled the boring details while Jenna got to be spontaneous and fun. Now, for the first time, being responsible was going to pay off in a way that mattered. "There's something else," I said, pulling out my phone. "I've been getting messages from our friends, all taking her side. They think I'm overreacting." Margaret glanced at the messages. "Unfortunately, that's common in adultery cases. The cheating spouse often controls the narrative, makes themselves seem like the victim." "Is there anything I can do about that?" "Legally? No. But you're under no obligation to keep their secrets. If people are going to judge you based on lies, they should at least know what the truth is." Emma squeezed my hand. "What does that mean exactly?" Margaret smiled. "It means that if Mr. Harper wants to share those photographs with people who are questioning his decision, that's his right. They're evidence in a legal proceeding, after all." I left the attorney's office feeling more empowered than I had in years. Emma and I stopped for lunch at a small cafe downtown, the kind of place Jenna would have dismissed as not trendy enough. How are you feeling? Emma asked over her salad. Surprisingly good, like I'm finally taking control of my life instead of just letting things happen to me. And us? How are you feeling about us? I reached across the table and took her hand. I'm feeling like I've been an idiot for not seeing what was right in front of me. I don't want to be a rebound, Alex. You're not. You're the woman who had the courage to tell me the truth when everyone else was willing to let me live a lie. My phone buzzed with another text from Jason. We need to talk. Meet me at Murphy's bar at 8. I showed Emma the message. What do you think? I think Jason Pierce is about to get a very unpleasant surprise. That evening, I walked into Murphy's bar to find Jason already there, nursing a beer and looking like a man with something to prove. The bar was busy, filled with after-work professionals and couples on dates. Perfect. Alex, thanks for coming, Jason said as I sat down across from him. What do you want, Jason? Look, I know you're upset, but you're blowing this whole thing out of proportion. It was a stupid game. Things got a little out of hand, but it didn't mean anything. Really? Because I have photos that suggest otherwise. Jason's face went pale. What photos? I pulled out my phone and showed him one of Emma's pictures from the restaurant. This photo, from last month. Want to explain what this was? Another game? Where did you get this? Does it matter? The point is, you've been lying to me. Both of you have been lying to me. Jason looked around nervously, clearly aware that our conversation was getting attention from nearby tables. Keep your voice down. Why? Embarrassed? You weren't embarrassed when you were making out with my wife in front of all our friends. Alex, please, let's be reasonable about this. I am being reasonable. I'm divorcing my cheating wife and cutting ties with my backstabbing best friend. Seems perfectly reasonable to me. Jason leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. You don't understand. Jenna and I have history. We dated before you two got together. These feelings, they never really went away. Then you should have stayed away from her when she married me. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You made a choice. She made a choice. Now I'm making mine. I stood up to leave, but Jason grabbed my arm. Don't do this, man. Don't throw away 15 years over a mistake. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at his face. Take your hand off me. Alex, come on. I said take your hand off me. The bar had gone quiet around us. Jason released my arm, but he wasn't done talking. You think you're the victim here, but you're not innocent either. You've been neglecting Jenna for years, working late, always buried in your computer, never paying attention to her needs. What did you expect would happen? I expected my wife to talk to me if she was unhappy. I expected my best friend not to sleep with her behind my back. We never slept together. Right. You just kissed her in restaurants and spent 10 minutes alone with her in my bedroom. Totally innocent. Jason stood up, his face flushed with anger and alcohol. You know what your problem is, Alex? You're boring. You've always been boring. Jenna needs someone who can match her energy, someone who appreciates her. Someone like you? Yeah, someone like me. I smiled, and apparently that was the wrong response because Jason took a swing at me. I ducked, and his fist connected with nothing but air. He stumbled, off balance, and I helped him along with a gentle push. He crashed into a nearby table, sending drinks flying and drawing the attention of everyone in the bar. Gentlemen, that's enough, the bartender called out. Jason struggled to his feet, his shirt soaked with beer and his dignity in tatters. This isn't over. Yes, it is, I said calmly. It's completely over. I walked out of Murphy's bar feeling lighter than I had in years. Behind me, I could hear Jason trying to explain to the bartender why he'd just attacked an empty table. My phone rang as I got to my car, Emma's name on the screen. How did it go? She asked. Better than expected. I think Jason just helped me make my case for why I need better friends. Want to come home and tell me about it? Home. Emma's apartment had started feeling more like home than the house I'd shared with Jenna for 15 years. I'll be right there. The next morning brought a new wave of drama. My phone was buzzing with messages from people who'd apparently heard about the incident at Murphy's bar. The story had already been twisted beyond recognition. According to Sophie's breathless text, OMG, Alex attacked Jason at Murphy's. He's completely lost it. Mark's message was more direct. Dude, you need help. Violence isn't the answer. Even Claire had weighed in. I can't believe you would assault Jason over a misunderstanding. Jenna is heartbroken. Assault, I said to Emma over breakfast. I ducked a punch and he fell into a table, but somehow I'm the one who committed assault. The narrative is already set, Emma said. You're the jealous, violent husband who can't handle his wife having a little fun. Well, let's change the narrative. I opened my laptop and logged into Facebook. Our entire social circle was connected on social media, which meant anything I posted would be seen by everyone who mattered. I uploaded the photos Emma had taken of Jenna and Jason at the restaurant, along with a simple caption. For those wondering why I'm filing for divorce and why I defended myself when Jason attacked me at Murphy's bar last night, these photos should clear things up. Taken last month, long before any game at our party. Some mistakes happen once. Some mistakes are choices. I hit post and closed the laptop. Think that'll get their attention? I asked Emma. I think you just dropped a nuclear bomb on their carefully constructed story. She was right. Within an hour, my phone was exploding with calls and messages. The photos were being shared and commented on throughout our social network. The narrative was shifting, and not in Jenna and Jason's favor. Claire's new message was apologetic. Alex, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Jenna told us it was just the party game that upset you. Sophie was backtracking. Why didn't you tell us there was more to the story? We would have supported you. Even Mark was changing his tune. Bro, I'm sorry. If I'd known about the affair, I never would have given you grief about the divorce. But it was Tom's message that really captured the mood shift. Jason's been bragging about this for weeks, man. I thought he was just talking trash, but apparently he was serious. You deserve better. Emma read the messages over my shoulder. Jason was bragging about sleeping with your wife? Apparently so. What a piece of garbage. My phone rang. Jenna's name on the screen. I answered, putting it on speaker so Emma could hear. Alex, you bastard! How could you post those photos? Hello to you too, Jenna. How could I post evidence of your affair, you mean? It wasn't an affair. We went to lunch a few times. You went to lunch and held hands and kissed. That's called dating, Jenna. When you're married to someone else, it's called cheating. You're destroying my reputation. I'm telling the truth. You destroyed your own reputation when you decided to cheat on me. I want those photos taken down immediately. No. Alex, I'm serious. Take them down or I'll sue you. For what? Posting pictures of you in a public restaurant? Good luck with that. Emma was grinning beside me, clearly enjoying Jenna's meltdown. Everyone thinks I'm a horrible person now, Jenna continued. You are a horrible person. You cheated on your husband with his best friend and then tried to gaslight him into thinking he was crazy for being upset about it. I never cheated. We kissed a few times, that's all. Right. And I'm sure those 10 minutes in our bedroom were just for deep conversation. There was a long pause. When Jenna spoke again, her voice was different, colder. You think you're so smart, don't you? Posting those photos, turning everyone against me. But you forgot something, Alex. What's that? I know things about you too, things that would be very interesting to your new girlfriend. Emma's smile faded. I felt a chill run down my spine. What are you talking about? Ask Emma about the letters, Alex. Ask her about all the letters she's been writing you for the past 5 years. Letters she never sent, but kept in a box under her bed. Letters about how much she loves you, how she fantasizes about you leaving me for her. Ask her if she really just happened to follow us to that restaurant, or if she's been stalking us for months. I looked at Emma, whose face had gone completely white. That's not... Emma started. Oh, it's not true. Jenna's voice was triumphant. Then you won't mind if Alex sees the letters. I found them when I was helping you pack for your last visit. Very detailed letters, Emma. Very intimate. The line went ended. I stared at Emma, who was looking down at her hands. Emma? I can explain. Are there letters? She nodded slowly. Yes. Letters about me? Yes. For 5 years? Yes. I felt like the ground was shifting under my feet. Emma, what the hell? I never sent them. They were just therapy, a way to deal with feelings I knew I couldn't act on. You've been in love with me for 5 years and never said anything? You were married to my sister. And you followed us to restaurants? Emma's face crumpled. Once. I followed you once because I suspected something was going on and I wanted to protect you. By taking pictures? I was going to delete them. But then I saw how happy you looked when you didn't know she was cheating, and I couldn't let you keep living a lie. I stood up and walked to the window, trying to process this information. Emma had been in love with me for 5 years. She'd written letters about me, kept them in a box, followed Jenna and Jason to get evidence of their affair. Alex, please say something. I turned back to her. I don't know what to say. This changes everything. Why? Because I loved you before you were available? Because I wanted to protect you from being hurt? Because you've been lying to me too. Maybe not the same way Jenna did, but you've been keeping secrets. I kept secrets to protect your marriage. She kept secrets to destroy it. There's a difference. Is there? Emma stood up, tears streaming down her face. If you can't see the difference, then maybe you deserve each other. She walked out of the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the wreckage of everything I thought I knew. 3 days had passed since Emma walked out, and I'd spent them alone in a hotel room, trying to figure out how my life had become such a complete disaster. The Facebook post had achieved its intended effect. Everyone now knew the truth about Jenna and Jason's affair, but it had also opened a can of worms I wasn't prepared to deal with. Emma had texted me once. I'm staying with Sarah. When you're ready to hear the whole truth, let me know. Jenna had called 17 times. I'd answered none of them. Jason had apparently left town, according to Mark, who'd suddenly become very interested in maintaining our friendship now that the truth was out. But it was Tom's call that finally got me out of the hotel room. Dude, you need to get to your house. Now. Why? Jenna's having some kind of breakdown. She's been there all day, screaming at the neighbors, throwing things around inside. Mrs. Patterson called the cops twice, but they can't do anything since it's her house too. What kind of things is she throwing? Your things, man. She dragged your computer out to the driveway and smashed it with a baseball bat. Your golf clubs are scattered all over the front yard. I closed my eyes. My computer had 15 years of work files on it, plus all my personal photos and documents. I'm on my way. The scene at my house was worse than Tom had described. My belongings were indeed scattered across the front yard. Clothes, books, electronics, all of it damaged or destroyed. Jenna's car was in the driveway, and I could hear music blasting from inside the house. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered at a safe distance, watching the show. Mrs. Patterson, our elderly next-door neighbor, approached me as I got out of my car. Alex, thank goodness you're here. She's been at this for hours. I tried to talk to her, but she just screamed at me about how this was all your fault. I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson. I'll handle it. The police said they can't remove her since her name is on the deed, but they said if she destroys any more property, they can arrest her for domestic vandalism. Domestic vandalism. Even in the middle of a divorce, we were still legally domestic partners, which meant destroying my things was technically destroying marital property. I walked up to the front door, which was standing wide open. The house looked like a tornado had hit it. Furniture was overturned, pictures were smashed, and there were holes in the drywall where Jenna had apparently thrown things. I found her in the kitchen, methodically smashing our wedding china against the tile floor. She was still in her pajamas, her hair wild, her face streaked with tears and mascara. "Jenna, stop!" She spun around, a plate in her hand. "Get out! This is my house!" "It's our house, and that's our china you're destroying." "Our china? Our house? There is no our anymore, remember? You made that very clear with your little Facebook post." She threw the plate at my head. I ducked, and it shattered against the wall behind me. "Jenna, you need to stop this. The neighbors have called the police." "Good. Let them come. Let them see what you've driven me to." "What I've driven you to? I'm not the one who cheated. You neglected me for years. You took me for granted. You never appreciated what you had. So you decided to sleep with Jason?" "I didn't sleep with him." She threw another plate. "We kissed. We went on a few dates. It wasn't serious." "You went on dates with another man while married to me, and you don't think that's serious?" "It was harmless flirtation. You're acting like I had a full-blown affair." "What would you call it?" "I'd call it trying to feel alive again, trying to remember what it felt like to be desired by someone." "I desired you, Jenna. I loved you." "No, you didn't. You loved the idea of me. You loved having a wife who looked good at company parties and kept your house clean and didn't ask too many questions about why you worked late every night. I worked late to pay for this house, to pay for your car, your clothes, your spa days. I didn't ask for any of that. I asked for a husband who paid attention to me." She was crying now, the anger giving way to something that looked like genuine pain. "Jenna, if you were unhappy, you should have talked to me. We could have worked on it." "When? When would we have talked about it? You were always busy, always had some project deadline or some crisis at work. When was I supposed to schedule my marriage counseling appointment? Between your conference calls?" I looked around at the destruction she'd caused, at the wreckage of 15 years of shared life, and felt something break inside me. "You're right," I said quietly. "What?" "You're right. I did neglect you. I did take you for granted. I thought providing for you was the same as loving you, and I was wrong." Jenna lowered the plate she'd been holding, looking confused by my admission. "But that doesn't excuse what you did," I continued. "If you were unhappy, you had choices. You could have asked for counseling. You could have asked for a separation. You could have asked for a divorce. Instead, you chose to cheat on me with my best friend and then lie about it. Alex. And when I found out, instead of apologizing, instead of trying to make it right, you tried to make me feel crazy for being upset. You gaslit me. You turned our friends against me, and now you're destroying our house because people found out the truth. I was scared. Of what? Of losing everything, of being alone, of everyone thinking I was a terrible person. You are a terrible person, Jenna. Not because you cheated. People make mistakes. You're terrible because when you got caught, your first instinct was to hurt me more instead of taking responsibility for what you'd done. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. "Don't go. Please. We can fix this. I'll end things with Jason. We can go to counseling. We can start over. You can't end something that never started, remember? It was just harmless flirtation. Alex, please. I love you." "No, you don't. You love the security I provided. You love having someone to blame for your unhappiness. But you don't love me." "That's not true. When's the last time you asked me about my day? When's the last time you showed interest in my work, my hobbies, my thoughts about anything? When's the last time you touched me without wanting something?" Jenna opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. "You can't remember, can you? Because you stopped seeing me as a person years ago. I became a function, the provider, the responsible one, the boring husband who handled the details while you got to be fun and spontaneous. I didn't mean for it to be like that. But it was like that, and when someone came along who made you feel exciting again, you didn't hesitate to throw away 15 years of marriage." The front door opened and 2 police officers entered. "We got a call about a domestic disturbance," the older officer said. My wife is destroying marital property, I said calmly. I'd like her removed from the house. Sir, if her name is on the deed, we can't remove her unless she's committed a crime. Domestic vandalism is a crime, I said, and I have witnesses who saw her destroying my personal property. The officer looked around at the destruction, then at Jenna, who was still holding a piece of broken china. Ma'am, did you break these items? It's my house, my china. I can do what I want. Actually, ma'am, if you're in the middle of divorce proceedings, destroying marital assets can be considered contempt of court. Jenna's face went white. I'm going to need you to come with us, the officer continued. You can't arrest me. I live here. Ma'am, you've destroyed thousands of dollars worth of property and disturbed the peace. Your neighbors have filed complaints. As they led Jenna away in handcuffs, she turned back to me. This isn't over, Alex. You think you've won, but you haven't. I'll take everything. The house, the savings, everything. Good luck with that, I called after her. After the police car disappeared, I stood in my destroyed living room and pulled out my phone. I had 2 calls to make. The first was to Margaret Chen, my attorney. Margaret, it's Alex Harper. My wife just got arrested for domestic vandalism. I need to know how this affects the divorce proceedings. It helps your case significantly. Judges don't look favorably on spouses who destroy marital assets out of spite. Good. What's my next step? File for an emergency restraining order. Get her barred from the house until the divorce is final. With her arrest record, it should be easy to get. The second call was to Emma. Alex? Her voice was cautious. Emma, I need to see you. I need to hear the whole truth, like you said. Are you sure? I'm sure. Can you come to the house? Fair warning, it's a disaster. Jenna had a breakdown and destroyed pretty much everything. I'll be right there. While I waited for Emma, I walked through the house, surveying the damage. 15 years of marriage, reduced to broken dishes and holes in the wall. But as I looked at the destruction, I didn't feel sad. I felt relieved. Emma arrived 20 minutes later, took one look at the living room, and whistled low. Wow, she really lost it. Yeah, she's been arrested. Are you okay? I'm better than okay. I'm free. I turned to face her. Now tell me about the letters. Emma sat down on the one piece of furniture that hadn't been destroyed, a bar stool in the kitchen. I wrote my first letter to you 3 years into your marriage, she said. You and Jenna had come to visit me in Portland, and I watched the way you two interacted. You were trying so hard to make her happy, and she was treating you like an inconvenience. Why didn't you say anything? What was I supposed to say? Hey, Alex, I think you married the wrong sister? You seemed happy enough, and I thought maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see. But you kept writing letters. It became a way to process my feelings. I'd write down everything I wanted to say to you, everything I wished I could tell you, and then I'd put the letter in a box and try to move on with my life. For 5 years. For 5 years. And every time I saw you, every time Jenna complained about you or dismissed you or took you for granted, I'd write another letter. What did the letter say? Emma looked down at her hands. They said that I loved you, that I thought you deserved better, that I wished I could show you how it felt to be truly appreciated by someone. And you never thought about sending them? Every day. But you were married to my sister, and I thought that meant something to you. I thought you loved her. I did love her. Or I thought I did. What changed? I thought about it for a moment. I think I loved the idea of her, like she said. I loved being married, having a partner, building a life with someone. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being partners and became roommates. Then we stopped being roommates and became strangers. And now? Now I know the difference between loving someone and being in love with them. Emma looked up at me. What's the difference? Loving someone is wanting them to be happy, even if it means sacrificing your own happiness. Being in love with someone is wanting to make them happy because their happiness is your happiness. And which one are you with me? I walked over to her and took her hands in mine. I'm in love with you, Emma. I think I have been for a long time, but I was too stupid and too loyal to admit it. Even after finding out about the letters? About me following them? Especially after finding out about the letters. You loved me enough to keep it secret for 5 years rather than hurt my marriage. You loved me enough to gather evidence of Jenna's affair, even though it meant risking your relationship with your sister. You loved me enough to tell me the truth when everyone else was willing to let me live a lie. Emma started crying, but this time they were happy tears. I love you too, Alex. I've loved you for so long. I kissed her then, really kissed her. Not like the dare at the party, but like a man kissing the woman he wants to spend his life with. When we broke apart, Emma looked around at the destroyed house. So what now? Now we clean up this mess, I finalize my divorce, and we start over. Together? Together. As we started picking up the pieces of my old life, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The game that had started with truth or dare was finally over, and for the first time in 15 years, I'd won. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Jenna got half the house value but had to pay for all the damages she'd caused. Jason had moved to another state, apparently deciding that small-town drama wasn't worth it. Most of our old friends had chosen sides, and surprisingly, most of them had chosen mine. Emma and I were living together in a new apartment across town, building something real and honest and beautiful. No games, no dares, no secrets, just truth.